Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
It was chilly across the region this morning, and our First Alert weather team has been tracking this cold front that we've been expecting since last week. Our team is calling for another First Alert weather day tomorrow, and Hutch has more on what we can expect in the morning. Hutch?
So much. We're going to get started right away with that freeze warning. The James River Valley right into the Red River Valley and points north, expecting freezing temperatures, and some of us will be in the 20s like we were this morning, but it will be even colder. Now in our southern counties, it's no picnic either. We'll see a frost advisory there. Your temperatures in the low to mid 30s. Suffice it to say, it would be safe to bring in those flowers and cover the tomatoes in the garden as we go through the overnight. We are already sliding away into the 30s as we head into the late hours. Here is a look at lows this morning. Some areas like Hallock and Argyle were in the upper 20s, and we are on our way back into that territory. In fact, here's a look at Fargo's planner. As we go through the overnight, we'll go and dive quickly through the 30s and into the low 30s by the time you're getting up in the morning. 32 degrees. I'll have hour-by-hour details on what you can expect in your neighborhood, but it's going to be a chilly one. The warm does return. Andrea, details on that in a few moments.
Something to look forward to. Thanks, Hutch. Hundreds of nursing homes with poor inspection histories are waiting to get into a program meant to help them get better. Meanwhile, our national investigative team finds some homes where people have died, another where a resident was sent away with no money and no help. Here's Investigate TV's Lee Zurich with part 2 of Listed.
I've been with Lyft for 3.2 years.
Rex Riley has a 5-star rating, more than 1,600 rides, but one involving an elderly man battling dementia, a nursing home, and a remote Hawaii hotel clearly stands out.
It is the most memorable of the 1,600.
Federal records show this nursing home in Hilo, Hawaii withdrew money from a resident's trust account, then lined up Rex Riley's Lyft.
They had put 2 boxes of his belongings and a wheelchair in the back of my car.
Staff sent the man 100 miles away, around a 2-hour drive, to the Monago Hotel, where they said he had a reservation. But the patient had no identification, no money, no credit card, no medication. And federal records show he was lethargic, unable to walk, and one foot was purple. This is just one of several violations inspectors found at the Hilo Rehabilitation and Nursing Center. Violations so serious, the home should be part of a program reserved for the worst in the country, what's called the Special Focus Facility Program. But it's not. Instead, this home and nearly 450 others are essentially on a waiting list. Candidates waiting to be part of the program that's supposed to provide extra oversight of nursing homes with years of persistent poor quality of care. The list reveals some nursing homes have been waiting to be a part of the Special Focus Facility Program for as long as 6 years.
Does it make sense that a home can be on the candidate list for several years and never get into the program?
No, it doesn't. And the only reason why that's the case is a question of resources, that they can, in a sense, only put a limited amount. And presently, I think it's about 84 on the participant list, but they can only make that list of 84 be the subject of additional review and more frequent inspection and oversight, because that's the limit of the resources.
Mark Parkinson is president of the American Healthcare Association, which lobbies on behalf of nursing homes.
We would love to see a program where maybe the bottom 10% of facilities in the country, 1,500 facilities, 15 times the current number on the special focus list, were given special attention and special collaboration to get better. That would materially move the quality needle across the country.
Meantime, Rex Riley hasn't forgotten about that passenger.
So I know that he survived and was cared for after this incident.
Or that nursing home in Hilo, Hawaii, that remains on the waiting list.
They've endangered this man's situation. They put him in a car, drove him 110 miles, and expected me to drop him off, and that was the end of it.
Lee Zurich, Valley News Live.
In North Dakota, there are two facilities in our area on that waiting list. The first is the Meadows on University in Fargo. It has been on the waiting list for 13 months. The other is the Eventide Devils Lake Care Center. That's been on the list for 5 months. Senator Casey said he wants Congress to inject $20 billion into nursing home oversight so these poor-performing facilities receive extra scrutiny. The Meadows on University has received about 20 citations during its last inspection by the federal government in May of 2019. Since that time, due to the pandemic, the nursing home hasn't been inspected. Federal records showed the Fargo nursing home has been fined nearly $70,000 in the last 3 years. Inspectors found several problems, including residents missing appointments and not being properly taken care of. We reached out to the Meadows. They did not respond. The North Dakota Long-Term Care Association gave us a statement regarding this program. They say the Special Facility Focus program has been in place for years, and it hasn't changed anything for the better. Students in Moorhead area public schools went back to class today in a hybrid model, and now the school district is releasing its enrollment numbers. More than 7,000 students in grades K through 12 are enrolled. That's 66 students more than last year, which continues the recent trend of high enrollment. A virtual learning model is also available for families desiring full-time distance learning. There are nearly 1,300 students enrolled in Spud Academy. Initial enrollment numbers show West Fargo Public Schools is the second largest school district in North Dakota. There are more than 11,700 students in that school district. Historically, enrollment data fluctuates through September, and the official enrollment numbers will be submitted by the end of the month. Let's take a look at the COVID-19 numbers. In North Dakota, 75 new cases in the state. The death toll is at 156. The positivity rate is roughly 5%. In Minnesota, 387 confirmed cases of COVID-19, along with 2 more deaths. More than 1,800 deaths are attributed to the disease. More than 74,000 people have recovered. West Fargo welcomed its new police chief tonight at the commission meeting. West Fargo Police Chief Dennis Otterness was sworn in with a badge pinning ceremony and was joined by his wife and children. He assumes the role Assistant Chief Jerry Boyer has been filling. Otterness is from Beach, North Dakota, and says it's great to be back around family and friends.
It was really just to kind of get a feel for the organization, where it's at now versus where it was, when I left back in '98. One thing I've learned is you can get a lot of great ideas from people from all levels of the organization, so I really want to sit down and kind of meet everybody.
Otterness worked for the West Fargo Police Department from 1994 to 1998. Tonight in Fargo, the City Commission announced the official appointment of Police Chief David Zabalski. He has passed through all preliminary processes and will be moving to Fargo early next month. He comes to Fargo having spent 27 years with Milwaukee's police department. And here's a heads up if you'll be driving near the Tri-Level Bridge on I-29 in the coming days. North Dakota DOT contractors are starting the next phase of the project there. Crews will move the single lane closure into the left lane and start operations. Drivers will then be carried into the right lane. You can expect the following traffic impacts on the I-29 Tri-Level Bridge. The single left lane will be closed. The single right lane will remain open. Speeds will be reduced to 40 miles per hour in some spots, and you're urged to drive with caution. North Dakota's November ballot was finalized last week, and now election workers are consulting with each county to make sure everyone has voting options. In June, North Dakota saw its first ever completely mail-in primary election. But election officials say counties want some normalcy in November's general election. Votes will be collected through absentee ballots and at physical polling locations this November. Polling places will be open, but only 115 sites instead of the usual 225. Officials say they're giving voters more options in other ways.
If you vote by mail, if you vote early in person, and you also have polling places, then you've reduced the risk of relying on any one thing.
Newby says requesting a mail-in ballot and dropping it into a designated drop box may be the safest way to prevent the spread of COVID-19 while also ensuring your ballot is counted. Ballots are expected to be mailed out by September 24th. Fargo City leaders are questioning aerial spraying for mosquitoes in Cass County after hundreds of monarch butterflies were found dead after the last spray. Passion and concern over the butterflies surfaced at tonight's City Commission meeting. Valley News Team's Katie Opperly spoke with Vector Control about the impact of aerial spraying.
Fargo City Commissioners, along with people throughout the community, have asked the question: is aerial spraying for mosquitoes safe?
When you listen to the industry, of course the industry is going to tell you their chemicals are safe, but then when we apply them as per policy, we still have some potential problems. And if we have those problems, what other problems might there be? I'm still concerned about my family or other human beings.
Commissioner Strand is looking for a solution after monarch butterflies were found dead, scattering Cass County following the spraying for mosquitoes. And he wants to know if there is also a risk for people and animals.
The formulations and the products we use are absolutely the least toxic that we can find. Flea and tick washes contain permethrin. The Frontline and things like that contain some of the insecticides I had mentioned earlier. Head lice treatments for infants as young as 2 months of age, I believe, you can apply that directly to their scalps.
The death of the butterflies is being investigated as the spray Cass County Vector Control uses isn't supposed to kill larger insects like butterflies.
There could be a lot of reasons why the butterflies passed away. We're not sure. There's no way to prove the negative that we didn't do it.
Prather says they never want to see other insects die, but they had to spray at that time.
We hit a 5-year trap count high. We had considerable amount of mosquitoes that had the potential of carrying West Nile virus, and certainly people were getting uncomfortable.
He says aerial spraying is the best way to take care of large hordes of mosquitoes, saying it's faster, and he believes it's more effective at getting rid of these pests. In Fargo, Katie Opperly, Valley News Live.
Prather stresses that Cass County Vector Control did not do anything different as far as application, and it was all up to code. City leaders say they plan to continue meeting with Vector Control to address concerns surrounding the butterfly deaths and the potential risks of mosquito spraying. Later on Valley News Live at 10, if you're a fan of the Black Panther, we know where you can find some free comic books.
Some 20s to start the day and a lot of 30s this morning. And your high temperatures today in some areas, including Sisseton, Fargo, and Grand Forks, were at or below warmer high temperatures that we've ever seen. So it was cold as ever on this date in a few places. Your forecast has more chill. All details coming up right after this.